Last December 7, 2021, the International Labor Organization held their virtual launch of the Ilo-Chr module on labor and human rights and international labor standards, with the support from the European Union and the Commission on Human Rights through its Trade for Decent Work project. Commissioner Karen Gomez-Dumpit formally opened the program with her encouraging speech about labor rights.
The module aims to not only capacitate CHR officials and staff on workers' civil liberties, trade union rights, freedom of association, and other international labor rights, but also to strengthen institutional partners on labor rights, which are part and parcel of human rights.
After the welcoming remarks, Commissioner Gwendolyn Pimentel-Gana delivered her speech through a video message about economic, social and cultural rights, and migrant workers' rights and welfare.
As we all know, workers' rights encompass a large array of human rights, from the right to decent work and freedom of association to equal opportunity and protection against discrimination. Specific rights related to the workplace include health and safety in the workplace and the right to privacy at work, among many others.
Followed by another video message from the resident coordinator for the United Nations in the Philippines and the head of the UN country team, Mr. Gustavo Gonzalez.
The Universal Declaration on Human Rights guarantees the right of everyone to equal pay for equal work and to work without discrimination. It guarantees a just and favorable salary to ensure an existence with dignity. It also guarantees the right to form and join trade unions. Without these rights, we cannot reach the Sustainable Development Goals, nor hope to fulfill the promise to leave no one behind.
Mr. Khalid Hassan, the International Labor Organization Country Office for the Philippines, also delivered his message on freedom of association and labor and human rights.
To paraphrase Henry Kindren, let it be that workers' rights are human rights, and that human rights are workers' rights, and once and for all. This module will not simply end with this launch. Rather, this is just the start of great things to come, especially of the Ilo-Chr partnership next year.
First Counselor, Head of Trade and Economic Affairs of the EU Delegation to the Philippines, Mr. Mauricio Salini expounded in his speech and involvement of the European Union as their main development partner and donor of the Ilo-EU Trade for Decent Work project in the Philippines.
Cooperation with CHR on this framework started under the Freedom of Association project, also funded by the EU, and completed under the current Trade for Decent Work project. These projects are specifically intended to support the government of the Philippines in the correct implementation of the GSP+, particularly in the context of the labor conventions.
After Mr. Mauricio Salini's message, the ILO, together with their partner, the Commission on Human Rights, gave tribute to the late CHR chairperson Jose Luis Martin Chito C. Gascon.
And before we proceed to formally launch and present it to you, we would like to remind everybody that the ILO-CHR module on labor and human rights is a fruit of the partnership between the ILO and the CHR, which started way back in 2018, under the amazing leadership of the late CHR chairperson Jose Luis Martin Chito C. Gascon. For a few brief moments, let us momentarily and solemnly pause to remember and honor again the legacy and spirit of Chairperson Chito Gascon.
The module was officially launched after the sweet tribute. They have presented to the audience the mock-up of the module, featuring some parts of the module from the cover to its content, consisting of 14 chapters with both face-to-face setups and also virtual workshop settings. Trade union rights and freedom of association issues, but to also make sure that this module can also be used and incorporated in the respective labor rights education programs of government, trade unions, employers, academic institutions, and human rights organizations and civil society groups, among others. Attorney R.P. Santiago, the primary author of the Ilo-Chr module on labor and human rights, and is also the executive director of the Ateneo Human Rights Center, gave a brief discussion of the rationale and design of the module. They have also included in the program through a tripartite responses the representatives from DOLE and trade unions such as Nagkaisa Labor Coalition, Federation of Free Workers, Sentro ng mga Nagkakaisa at Progresibong Manggagawa, and Kilusang Mayo Uno, as well as employers groups led by the Employers Confederation of the Philippines. Starting from Undersecretary Benjo M. Benavides of DOLE, followed by the trade union representatives. Attorney Sani Matula, Chairperson, Nagkaisa Labor Coalition and President, Federation of Free Workers. Mr. Elmer Bong Labog, Chairperson of Kilusang Mayo Uno. Mr. Joshua Mata, Secretary General of Sentro ng mga Nagkakaisa at Progresibong Manggagawa. Mr. Roland de la Cruz, President, National Confederation of Unions in the Sugar Industry of the Philippines. And lastly, Ms. Helermina Abigail Rojas Gorospe, Advocacy Manager, Employers Confederation of the Philippines. To formally close the program, Commissioner Karen Gomez Tumpit delivered her message on the ways forward and continuing partnership between ILO and CHR through the full rollout of the CHR module for the whole year 2022.